Hey Saber fans! So, I have a Saberforge ahsoka, or as they call it, a katana here today. This is actually from their scratch and dent sale. So I did a few modifications to it. It's running proffie 2.2 and all the other goodies, which I'll go over in a minute. For starters, I would like to show the awesome blade styles that it has. So, 1-inch blade. And of course, color changing. Let's put it on that green that a lot of people know for this saber. Well, a little touchy on it for the green. Oh, it's the blade style. We'll just change it.
Blue. Green.
There's the green. I had to up the clash sensitivity on this a lot because the sound venting, it just pumps out sound. Like the default range for any of these configs starts at, I think, 2000. I had to dumb this down to 1200. It was still doing false clashes, then 1000, and it still sounds great. I mean, that's pretty darn loud. I even had to up the clash sensitivity from 1.0 to 5.0 because 3.0 was still clashing even at 1000. Upped it to 5 and you get clashes still, but what was happening was it would ignite and you'd have a couple clashes. A typical issue with proffie, or not proffie, but any soundboard in general actually. Watch out, watch out. Cat's in the way.
Red.
So we have a Goth 3 Designs PIY chassis, proffie 2.2, a removable battery with a kill switch, and a 28mm. I'm just going to say it's the SO Sonimax bass speaker that you can buy from Amazon in a 5-pack. I've been seeing a lot of people relabeling those as their own personal thing. Whatever, make your money. It's just business. But the modifications I did have to do to this was it came without the control box that normally comes with it. So I used one of One Replica's low profile control boxes, which bottom is activation, top is auxiliary. It's stupid bright. Yeah, it's throwing some white. This has a good ahsoka sound to it. Nice silver white. I love those accent swings. Just gonna go through them real quick. This yellow, it's like a gold yellow. Stupid loud.
The Cyber Project.
Nice dark orange.
Prototype 1.
Unstable Kylo. Trying to get lock up. There we go. So this having the responsive blade, it's going to be hard to tell on camera, but it's easier to see in person. As it's horizontal and it goes lower, the unstable calms down just a little bit. not by much. Very similar to the flame blade, which I'll show you in a second.
Prototype 2.
So this is the power burst, just bursting power through it slowly. Not really slowly, but you get what I mean. I wonder if it's easier to see on other colors. Yeah, on a red, definitely.
Prototype 3.
Here's the flame. So, as it's horizontal, it slows, below horizontal, it slows down. And it starts to travel upwards. So instead of the full length of the blade, it comes down to about right here. And my guest speaker, here's my cat. Say hi, Ginger.
TC.
And Dark Saber. So this is really hard to see on camera. My old camera and my old phone can pick it up a little better, but yeah, it's nice. I like it.
Eton.
Back to Eton Crystal. A nice emitter cooldown. So one thing I really like about this hilt in particular is the fact that there's two blade retention methods. So you have this as blade retention, which is what I'm using. And you also have a set screw right here. This serves no purpose. NeoPixel blade plug. Don't even really, actually yeah, I did use a TCSS PCB. Yeah, there was quite a few blemishes on this whenever I got it. Which, you know, the coating on this isn't the chrome like they usually have, so there's not much I can do about it. To my knowledge, anyways. It's going to be hard to pick up with the sliding I got going on here. You can kind of see it. There's a few scuffs in the finish here and there. The biggest, you can see it there really well. But yeah, for the sale that was going on, you know, I can't believe I got all the Greeblies except the control box. You know, the fact that I got this big old chunk and these two, you know, a lot of people didn't get those. I can live without the control box because this is just fantastic. You know, it's real slim. Still fit your hand around it quite a bit. Perfect. The biggest issue I seen with it was the placement for retention screws, and it just seemed like it was all out of alignment. So this, where the recharge port is, I used a 2.1mm switchcraft instead of this typical plastic housing 2.1mm recharge port. Drill and tapped one of the dummy switches for the switchcraft because those are so much more reliable in my opinion. The hole for this was like way off. So what I did was I filled it in with JB Weld and re-drilled it. That way it was more in line. It's still not perfect, but it's pretty darn close. You can see the LED retention and the blade retention is off. And I mean, these were lined up, of course. But I mean, I held this in place. There was like maybe half a thread left on that. So I just held it in place with E6000. Yeah, it's a great hilt. The blade depth on it is ridiculous. Like, that's the blade depth. Good 2.5 inches, something like that. I installed one of these a long time ago for a good friend. Oh yeah, there's a lot of scuffs on the side right there. You can kind of see it all along here. Yeah, not bad for a scratch and dent. Considering what I paid for the hilt in the end, well worth it. But the labor and getting it to where it was, you know, good and functional, that's a whole nother story. Like for instance, using this as switches, you know, you can see the chassis. You can see how far out it comes. So, you know, in order for me to make those switches, I had to improvise quite a bit because the chassis comes up to like right here or so. So what I did was I got my Dremel, just kind of cut a little path out and through here, and drilled another small hole in here for the wires to feed down and in. So works great. You know, there's no tension pushing the chassis in at all. Slides out great. Slides out like butter. Even just slides in like that. Little push on the edge. Perfect. This should last a long time. Yeah, this is not a bad ahsoka. Not bad. It's of course bigger than, you know, an accurate replica. I think, you know, I've actually never held an accurate replica for the Clone Wars ahsoka. Only the KR Sabers Rebels version, which those are a beauty, but that main hand is a beast. It's like the size of this, but like an extra few inches. It is huge. You can see why, you know, she wanted leverage. Oh, that's not bad. Put it like that, right? Yeah, nice hilt. Dual worthy for sure. Definite dual worthy. Solos hold ahsoka. I wouldn't even dream of dueling with something like that. Or like a Saberforged Guardian, for example. Oh god, yes. You know, I know they go for dual worthiness in their hilts, so I mean, it is what it is, you know. It's just like anything else, though, it needs maintenance, so always keep that in mind if you're dueling with these. It's a work of art, and the fact that you can fight with it is awesome, but yeah, routine maintenance is a must. And yeah, hope you enjoyed the video.
Blue. Green. Red.
It's loud.
White.
Running at 1 watt pretty much. Yeah, it's pretty darn loud. And I actually incorporated the saved config on this as well. That way whenever you know, cut power and reboot it, it's still on the same preset, which I love that feature. That's so neat. The fact that you don't have to cycle through all of them again to get to the one that you want. You can just leave it on the one you want, like, you know, if you wanted to keep it on white.
Red.
Which one was white? Yeah, you get what I'm saying. Anyways, hope you enjoyed the video. Until next time, Saber fans, may the Force be with you always.